Wow. Okay. Before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? Like, let's start one by one, so we're not getting like two voices in. Let's start with you, Maria.
Okay. Hi, thanks for the invite. I'm Maria from Studio Sirene. Like one third or one fourth, I guess. Yeah, not sure what else to say. Clara, do you wanna
That,
continue?
what do what do you do? What do you do there? What's
Ah,
your part?
I'm a designer, mainly visual design. Yeah, also have a practice in social design, and yeah, that's mainly.
And
Okay,
she's
Um,
perfect.
also our financial chief officer, as we call her. She's our CFO. She's handling
See,
all complicated questions about numbers.
well, like
perfect.
proposal. That's true. Yeah.
Well, that's a good summary. What about you, Clara?
I'm also a graphic designer in Studio Sirene, and I also do illustrations as well. And I'm the chief clown officer.
Wow, love that.
So you're responsible for keeping
The-
fun vibes, or
Yeah, actually, now that I think of it, maybe it's not quite true.
Oh,
I,
it's not
I
all
can't
of that.
deliver that always, but yeah, usually I'm the person that is good with clients, having a good time and connecting with them, and just because I think that's a really important part as well, to really get to know your client at some level. I mean, I'm not super personal, of course, but to just have this feeling, okay, of we understand each other on some level. That's really quite important, I think, especially in Austria and Vienna, where it's just a small bubble of people that usually, get get jobs or projects over a white Twister or something like that. Like, that's the reality of what's happening, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like that's, for me at least, one of the most difficult parts of the job.
that's why we don't
Yeah.
work for Austrian clients. We're too
Yeah.
asocial for that.
Yeah, we're very social
We're very
studio.
like do everything online via Zoom.
Exactly. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I'm really grateful. You're like working together at Studio Serene, right? So can you tell us a little bit about the structure? Because you have kind of like, I would say, a special kind of agreement slash structure in your, I will call it a studio now, but we will get into it why it's not exactly a studio.
Yeah, I mean, we call it a design studio collective in a way. So it's basically like three independent designers. Like we didn't found together. So each of us is, I don't know, in self-employed individually, but we share clients and we share the workload, we share the office, we share, yeah, basically everything. That's usually would be like shared in a company. It's, yeah, we share the struggle and also the joy.
Yeah, pain and the joy. Yeah.
Um, okay, then in this case, you are like a collective working together. What are like the special structures that you have in place that kind of like makes it different to a, I would say, a traditional agency or traditional studio?
I mean, we have flatter hierarchies in that sense, that there is not one art director, one creative director, one person that gives the vision to the rest of the team. Um, so we do work as four individual people, essentially. Um, but the difference is that I mean, yeah, you could argue that there is mm, not much of a difference in the sense of founding a company, except that we still keep our own individual businesses per se, and we could be more flexible if we wanted to. But right now we are committed to working together, so it makes you an a unit of some sort, because with that commitment of sharing everything, you're also dependent on each other. So it's not like we are four people doing separate projects and just sitting in the same space and communicating, or just exchanging input or something like that. But it's really working together. So you are dependent on when is one person available, when is the person not available, and vice versa. So it's always a interconnected situation, right? So what we've put in place are more of like Excel sheets of some sort. We want to use Queen, as I said, where we sort of document the projects, the workload, and try to somehow visualize our availability and also cross finance. Is that the right word? I don't know, but the point is that you have projects that are more lucrative and projects that are less lucrative, right? But still, you don't want to split it up by project, because then one person is working on the more lucrative project and the other one is working on the less lucrative project, and you get less and the other one gets more. And this is not the idea behind the collective. So we want to share all of the time and all of the projects, essentially.
So in a lot of ways, it is the same as if you had a company. Is there a reason why you decided to do it this way and do a collective instead of saying, okay, let's make a GmbH or whatever, like a legal form of the company that has a contract and everyone has a share in the company? Why did you decide to go that route?
I think it was for us, I mean, like it developed somehow. Like we used to in the past we used to just share a studio space together. That was like also like we studied together. Then we decided, we had this dream of like after graduating to spend time together. And that's where we landed, but we were like all sitting next to each other and realized, okay, like I mean, we are all together, but at the same time quite lonely, I'd say, or like you're just on your own. And then Jana became pregnant, and like for every person that I don't know has a womb to potentially get pregnant, I don't know, like it's really hard to keep your clients. And so like there was our first motivation. Also, like I think projects came up where like we felt we needed a bigger portfolio somehow to convince the clients that we are capable of doing the work. So like these two things merged in a way and made us decide to like just put the project together, be bigger, and like take over work from others when they like can't do it themselves. And like since then, I don't know, we grew. Also the last 2 years were quite successful, and they also like made us question why do we still do it this way and not actually found. But it's I think question for the next few years how we gonna continue growing. And we used to start as 4, and Anna left, but now we had the first time someone to hire. Like we are now 4 again, and I think it's just a question for the future why we don't found. But and we also I think try to figure out at the moment what the like how values can be like reflected in a GmbH. But
No, I mean I agree. I think we're essentially just growing with the process of becoming a unit, and how would that translate in a more bureaucratical way. And as of right now, it hasn't. I don't think there's right now a benefit of doing a GmbH or doing a offene Gesellschaft, an open. I don't know, what is it in English? Open.
Oh, open LCC. No, wait, it's not an LCC.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think maybe it's a kind of like a form that is pretty specific to Austria.
Yeah, I think so
DOG.
too.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Okay.
talking about, right?
Yeah.
Offene Gesellschaft, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's specific to Austria. Okay, it sounds to me that you were coming from a very community-based mindset, going into like forming a collective, which I really love, because there's are topics that are actually also like a topic for us. Like we are both like could become pregnant, and we know that there is not a system in place in Austria where you can actually have like maternity leave when you're a freelancer, and that system is not set up for
Women.
for women,
Or
or like
people who
who
can
can
have
people who can
babies.
exactly. So yeah, that comes from that sounds like a very nice community focused approach. And also since you are like different people at Studio Sirene, how is it when you have like, how do you form an identity when you all have individual voices and you still practice those voices outside the collective?
I think we fight a lot still, but
I mean,
no,
yeah.
we argue and try to find a common path. But actually, like we are not like I mean, I don't know. We are a really good team, and we are, I think, aligned in many ways. So there is not really like we didn't really argue yet about our identities and how they merge together too much. I think the main thing is style that we argue about, and how we wanna move forward sometimes. But yeah, that's not really an issue. I think.
Yeah, I
How do you
think
feel,
it's
Clara?
yeah, it's I feel like we are for different or three different voices and different identities, but we do seek to find the things that where we can complete each other, where the differences make sense in the process and work for us. And even though we don't always work the same way or our minds don't work the same way, we try to see it as an advantage. And like, I mean, you've already heard like Maria is a finance officer, so obviously she's has a much more different approach, and I also have a completely different approach, but it can help us in the process. Maybe at one point this approach is more important to get through the first phase, and then you move on to the next phase, and you try to like find this, yeah, synergy, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's always good. I think that's always a benefit when you're working with more than one person is that you have a different perspective. And when you're alone, not only can you get a bit of tunnel vision, but also sometimes
Totally.
skills are just not some skills are not your strongest. So it's good to have some other people around you who can compensate that and take that on. And
Yeah.
also interests are different. For example, like Rebecca does the finance stuff, not because I don't find it interesting, I do, but I just don't enjoy doing like tables and calculations and all that. And she really likes doing it, like she thinks it's fun. So
Yeah,
I
but I
feel like
think because I come from the programming side of things, so I
Oh
really
yeah.
like to set up systems. I really like to set it up. Do I like to maintain it? No. Do I like to set it up? Yes, I love
she
it.
sets it up and then forgets about it. But it's good that someone is there who's thinking about those things and who's like keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, like for example, in our studio, you handle most of the social media because
Yeah.
I just genuinely can't.
Same.
If I would be the main person doing it, we would not have any social media. I would have
Yeah.
like collected
Feel
dust
it.
somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, since we're talking about roles, how did these roles come about? Like, are you sharing? Do you feel like you're sharing an equal? I don't know. It's like the equal workload when it comes to roles. Did the roles just kind of like came to be depending on the strengths and weaknesses, or how did you like divide up work that is not really client related, but more like I will call it studio related, or like
Management,
management.
business,
Exactly.
logistics stuff.
Yeah.
When we have a weekly show fix, we when there is an imbalance, we usually like talk about it quite soon, I think. So even if someone feels, yeah, okay, I did a lot of organizational stuff recently, so we try to balance it out. And since I don't know, we work on many projects together, so like documenting stuff is like a collective effort in a way. Also, like two people know about like we have to take pictures for social media or something, or we have to write a proposal for a client because the two of us work on this. So it's like usually, yeah, we meet halfway, I think. Yeah, but
Yeah, and
we
things just
discuss.
crystallize in a group setting with individuals, different individuals. You just have to figure out and see what happens, what person has is inclined to do something in a way, and then we try to support it. Like Jana, for example, is I feel like good in this big picture thing of what does it mean for our brand, thinking like going outside and publicizing stuff. So I really appreciate that because I don't naturally do it. I don't naturally think of that. And I love that she's, putting that seed into our soil. then of course we have to somehow make space for that to happen, and someone has to help her, or you know.
Yeah, what structures are there in place for working together? Because you mentioned you have weekly issue fixes. What other things have you implemented in order to work together successfully as a collective?
I mean, that's Clara's big thing, actually. We have a master to-do list or a tool that we use for it where, we enter all the tasks and assign them to someone. And if you take it over because it's not assigned yet to someone, you write a message to the others. And we have Excel sheets to track time for us. Like some clients, we are more detailed, others we are not as much. And just the bookkeeping sheet. But it was also like a process. Like, I don't know, since you said before, in the beginning, like we shared the projects by like a new project came in, and then we discussed who that works on it, and then we just tried to we have a certain amount of money, so like we try to work like 40 hours on a project, and everyone we try to stick to our 20 hours that is like are assigned to us, and like in the process, or in our growth process, let's call it that way, we had more projects and couldn't like just split every project. So first we were like, you try to be involved in as many things, and now like you try to be involved in those things that you can actually accomplish in the time you have.
Yeah, I think that's something we try to learn more and more, that to decide, okay, this project doesn't need 4 people, 4 designers, and just is okay with two people working on it, and letting go as well is something that we are learning to do, and also deciding, okay, maybe for a pitch, for example, it makes more sense to first throw in as many ideas as possible, so all of us are working on it in the first phase, and then we separate. So I don't feel like it's that much different than I don't know. It's not. There is no special structure. I feel it's just working intuitively next to each other and listening to each other, and trying to support each other. That's basically the main ground of it all, I feel.
Yeah.
So when you pitch for projects or get clients in whatever way, is it something that has always come through, or like do you try to keep it coming from the collective as Studio Sirene, or is it something that you still also maybe one of you as an individual designer brings clients into the company? Is it like group effort, or is there one person who's kind of does most of the lead generation, or has it always been like that? Is it something that's changed?
It's a mix, actually. Like we each and every one of us, I think every client we somehow got in the last few years is like through personal connection somehow. So people, people, they know your work. And depending on like whose work it was, usually people get in touch. So Jana worked a few years ago for a specific client. They recommend her and they reach out. And then, usually either Jana, or if she's really busy, responds, and we write an offer as a collective. But the offer usually comes from the individual person. The work comes from the collective. So
Okay.
and only recently it started that like people just randomly write to the studio. Like to office is not really reaching a lot of
Okay.
inquiries, I'd say. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I think it has
Clara.
definitely benefited to to go outside as a team and not as individuals, because people do as they do realize you exist way easier than if you're just individuals, and you can use all of our networks, or tiny micro networks within the big network, um, to use it to our advantage. And this is massively changed, I feel like, from a couple years ago when I was still working alone, or maybe I was still working alone. And to combine all those micro networks, it became a network that's big enough right now that it's going well for now. I mean,
Fingers crossed. I have
Yeah.
actually a question related to that. So because you mentioned that, for example, in this case, Jana got a project in, and the proposal or the offer was in Jana's name. Did I understand that correctly? Okay,
Yeah.
so in this case, but you want to work on it as a collective. So in this case, my question is, does the client belong, quotation marks, to the collective, or does the client belong to Jana?
I feel like it belongs to the collective because we can only work the project as a team, and that we are a team is also part of why people come to us or come to Jana in that specific scenario. So this is a value that that's why we wanna share this, because it's an invisible value that is still happening.
Yeah, that leads me to another question, which is about the money. And if you don't want to answer it, it's fine. But for example, I'm guessing because you all have your own companies registered, right, as individuals, you then have to bill it as an individual, or are you able to bill it in another way? And then how do you do that with where does the money go? Like, does it go to one? Do you guys then just like pay it into one account, or how does that work, the logistics of splitting it up? Because you did say at some point at the beginning that you guys share the money and that you split it up evenly, regardless if one person made more money on one project and another one made less. So how do you do that?
We bill individually, and we, as Clara said, we have a massive Excel sheet that helps us to divide. And I think for 2 years now we work in this manner that we like just everyone adds their hours, and Clara and I are full time. Jana is 35 hours, and Hilal, our employee now, is 24 hours. I mean, she has a salary, but the three of us, we just get the share from all the income we generate as the three of us.
Yeah, and for example, like Hilal is officially employed under my name, so all the costs that I would have for hoe ga ik doen?
Bookkeeping?
For bookkeeping
Yeah.
is something that of course goes into the collective as an expense that
Yeah.
the collective has to. Yeah.
So what does the finance ministry think of that? I'm not sure how this works from like a legal standpoint. Is it like something that they see, or is it because for you, if you're spending that as an expense as your business and you're taking an income as your business for your tax return, that would all be documented now? Or is there a way to do it as a collective that the finance ministry also understands that that money is being split up and that the expense is also being split up?
I mean, we write invoices to each other, and we don't really
got it.
like inform anyone. The thing is, like, at the moment, I mean, we try to be like right as like try to how to say distribute the income so that we get to a point where we don't have to like bill each other too much. But as long as you as a self-employed person still have your enough own income, I don't know, you can write to one other person as many invoices as you want without, like, I think legally being, how do you call it, a Scheinangestellter, like
Yeah.
Like a fake employee.
Yeah, that was what I was also curious about, like but it makes sense to bill each other. I just wasn't sure about how how it works because we work in such a different system. Like we have a GmbH where we take out the salary. So, but we also were an OG before where we literally just
But
basically also just took a salary.
even then, legally speaking, it was like we both got half of the money, but also the expenses belonged to us 50-50. So it was very clear. So it's just interesting when it's not so clear how that's handled and also how you do it so that it makes sense on paper, I guess.
Because I think a lot of, or like some people, I'm sure, like maybe don't want to like officially make a company together, but they want to work together regularly. So that's why we are like so interested in the process of it all.
It's something we considered doing at the beginning too, because you do need to have a certain amount of money when you find a company in Austria. You have to have an investment, and also just tax, like the tax stuff also costs money. Like we had a Steuerberater, an accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had an accountant. We have to pay the accountant. It's just like a lot of money is involved in just the company forming at all. So at the beginning, when you don't have a lot of money, it's easier to do something like a collective, and we had considered it as well. I think we were put off by the complicated nature of it, or we felt like it would be complicated. So we were like, let's just do the company thing. It feels easier.
Yeah.
So you just started it like from 0 to 1. You just started
Yeah,
it
we
deep,
just did the OG, which is like
Okay.
50-50 share situation.
Yeah. To have like something in place. And I mean, it was kind of similar to what you were doing, because you mentioned it's like very trust-based and very, community/trust-based. And I believe that it's the same for us in the beginning. We were also just, we trust each other and the rest will like work out. And it did work out. And then we just had like a document in place right now, which just
Yeah.
makes it kind of like a marriage, which just makes
Yeah.
it official that
Make it
we are
official,
like,
yeah.
exactly, it's kind of like the next step.
Yeah.
Just to, I don't know, like you never know. Obviously, we don't think that we will like fall apart, but you never know what happens. And it's nice to have like this security in place.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that, or would that be a reason for you to like make it official? Quotation marks.
Yeah, I think we think about it a lot. Also, like recently, insurance wise and liability for bigger projects where you just, if the proposal went through one person, the one person is liable for a whole. Yeah, I mean, we trust each other and we have each other's back, but to like have it in writing, I think is a thing we definitely will go for in the future.
I think so too, because it's something that is, I mean, identity building as well, like as an abstract thing that fuses you together and solidifies that commitment. Although we do feel like we're already doing that without the document, but it might make things more easy to, like you said, it is a complicated thing that we construct, like the Excel and everything. But maybe it's something that we need to do to help this growth, this thing that's becoming this unit. Maybe that's what we need for now, or needed.
Oh, will make sense. Also, in terms of, you mentioned that you're like splitting costs equally, right? Okay. Again, how does that work in a like, I don't know, in an action plan, or like actually put on paper? Like, for example, one person, I don't know, pays the rent, the other person pays the something else, and at some point it kind of like balances out? Or is there also like some kind of pot where there's money and then it goes into the, I don't know, different cost sections
Investments,
of,
like
investments. I know it's like probably not super possible legally. I don't know. I'm just like super curious of how that's divided and how that actually works.
I mean, I think that we have a bit of a mix. Like the studio is in my name, or the contract. So I also I think have currently the most of the business runs through me. So I'm the most fluid, let's say. But like rent, I have an invoice for the other two. So they have a specific like rent invoice for their bookkeeping, but the Fremdleistung, like if you hire someone or freelance, and currently like our employee is, if we have a list of expenses, and these expenses are same as the income divided by the percentage of like 40, 40, 35. And we just split, and our sheet, it give it, like it tells us how much we have to bill each other to even it out. And we do that a few times a year to be like, keep each one of us liquid.
Okay, that's a nice approach.
Do you have any, this is maybe something that you feel like isn't needed, but do you have any agreements written down about these things?
Just vibes.
No, I mean, I think it's much more intuitive. Like if Maria's the rent is going on Maria's expense thing, then we decide, okay, that's a bigger thing. Then maybe the employment of another person, someone else should, handle. So I did it because it made sense. Just well, to
Yeah.
keep it
So
even as
just
possible.
yeah, so it's a lot based on trust in that case, which I think works with the right people, of course.
Definitely. That's the
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it with anybody. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it with anybody.
Yeah, no,
No,
me
of course
neither.
not. I mean, we know each other so many years because we've studied together. We've been self-employed for a number of years by ourselves and collaborated within that time already. So we already knew how we worked, and also like I said, the network is still, it's a micro network of a bigger network we all share. So it's all the same soup, as you would say.
Yeah. No, I'm
So we trust each other. We know each other. We are good people. We wouldn't have found each other if we didn't feel like this is a person we can trust, right?
yeah.
It's
Could
because
you
essentially it's also
ever
friendships, right?
imagine could you ever imagine someone joining the collective as an equal partner?
Yeah, I could.
Okay. So it's something that you could see growing as well in the future.
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's
would probably would have to change some things if there's a complete stranger person that is joining the collective. I mean, I
definitely a
doubt it would
complete
be a
stranger.
strange, would not happen probably, but
No, I think this growth thing is like for me it's a big thing right now, and I think for all of us. I mean, we have our employees since May now, and we probably need more in the future. So like this whole thing, like growing, really forces you to create more structure, to be more precise, to communicate less, also because you have to communicate more to but be more efficient somehow. And that's a huge thing right now. And we're curious how we handle it, but we probably need more things in like writing, which we don't have right now because we trust each other. But um
I think you
yeah
opened up Maria's little number thing. Yes, we should keep it in writing.
no, not really.
Yeah, no. I mean, we also were like at some point, should we do this now? Because we could have just operated within an OG and we just had like okay, what happens with the liability? Because we were also growing and our clients were also growing with us. And at some point we were like, okay, it might be just like make more sense to have that in place just in case something happens. It's more like a safety net, less
Hmm.
than we trust each other more now kind of thing, or we feel like more or less responsible now that we have that in place. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. And for us, it was also like a trust-based, community. We are just together, but it was still like more in that direction, what you were mentioning in the beginning, and less in a let's form this business relationship and let's make business together. It kind of grew into that though, but before we were just like I don't know, two people who wanted to do some graphic design together.
Yeah.
And it also grew into different directions because I think it's normal to also to grow and to scale up,
Yeah.
scale down, depending. And apropos scaling, you mentioned that you hired your first designer, right? And how did that decision go? Because you said that someone left the collective, so you hired a designer. So did it came out of necessity, or is it also something like I was just thinking because since you act as a collective and then have an employee, um, do they have like a specific salary you pay them out monthly, or is it also like based on the income that you make per client?
No, it's a fixed salary. So that is, I think that was what was keeping us from taking that decision or making that decision sooner, is to really make sure, can we really handle this fixed salary for someone that we want to pay someone fairly, and also give them stability. We don't want someone to just freelance as Werkvertrag, like with a
Like a contractor?
contract. Yeah. So that's why we were holding off that decision, because I think we could have done it probably sooner, but we were holding off because we were trying to make sure that everything is in place. We have enough clients, we have enough stability, and also like future prospects of projects that we can say, okay, so the ball is, rolling. We can safely say we can handle it at, yeah, and accommodate an employee.
No, it's just it's also like a risk you take in. Like we discussed like who, like when we realized we really need someone to help us. Like it's not so easy to find someone who really wants to like go full in. And I mean, currently now the cake we share is big enough to be shared, but it would be also nice that this person also brings in their own clients and but also like suffers with us when we don't have not as many, and maybe this person has more. I don't know. Like it's you commit, and that's not easy to find, I'd say, as a full collective member.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how did that change the dynamic? Because you take on more responsibility, of course, as the owner, so to speak,
Mm.
and the employee in this case doesn't. And since you were working as a collective before, everyone had their fair share and their fair share of responsibilities. Right now, it's kind of like disrupted in a sense. Did that make you change anything in your structures, or yeah, did that change anything for you?
I don't think so. I think it's because we've already tried to like bring structure to our work as well before we employed someone, like keeping in our regular hours, for example, or realizing, okay, maybe we're working too much and maybe it's not supposed to be that hard. And maybe we just need another person to help us and not take on more and more and just handle it, which I think we had 1 year that was really tough, where we were just loading up more or trying to work with it. And so we did get a learning from that and said, okay, we don't want to go that far. We want to keep it within a regular work hours. So this sort of idea has already been implemented, and now that we have an employee, we do try to like not bother her when she's not on her in her working hours, of course, because that's not really cool.
Sounds awful,
um,
actually.
it's no, but I mean, like, that's also something that we take for ourselves. Like, we try not to, like, it's a gentle reminder to not do more than we should, because we do want to still have a life, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, work-life balance.
work-life balance. Yeah.
Yeah, we had similar issues in the beginning. Like we talk about this a lot, where we just like ended up in workload, like kind of working 24/7, sleeping, working, hardly
Mm-hmm.
sleeping, mostly working. And
Yeah.
there's also something we had to implement, like specific structures to avoid that, structures and policies actually to avoid that.
Yeah.
And also with employees, we were always super strict to like go home enough. It was like also a bit different once we had employees as well. Um, yeah, I mean, for someone who wants to start a collective, do you have advice for them?
I just wanted to add something to what you said before. And maybe this is also linking to what is the benefit of working as a collective and not a GmbH. I don't know. Is that okay? Yeah, we have these structures because, for example, for Maria and me, this was the case that we maybe took on too much than was necessary, and we like decided, okay, we want the weekends, for example, to be really off work. We don't want to communicate about work. And for example, Jana is a person that, she has a family. She has more like time slots that she uses, so they are not always in the regular working hours. And she does prefer to use them. She does prefer to take 2-3 hours on a Saturday or something like that. And I feel like that is the cool thing about, yeah, we want the structure, but we also want to keep it open up enough so that a person could choose to work differently with it. And I hope that our employee, yeah, there is a set structure, but if organically it turns out that she likes to work, I don't know, only evenings. I mean, that's maybe a bit too much of a stretch, but I do want to accommodate the flexibility of maybe this person needs to work on a different way and uses their time differently or something like that. So that should also be okay, I feel.
Definitely, that's something that we always, from the beginning, said also with employees. We kind of expect them to be available certain hours of the day,
Yeah.
but if they are here 9 to 5, we don't really care about that. It's more about them getting the work done on time. And if they rather prefer to do it in the afternoon, evening, or early in the morning and leave early, then that's fine.
Yeah, that's like also I see I see a lot of similarities in terms of philosophies. So whenever you say something, I feel like I can relate to it a lot. So
Mm.
it's interesting to see it in a different structure,
Yeah.
and it
And
like
also, I mean,
works.
I don't know how it was with you guys, with your employees, because you have to also see, you hire someone for a purpose. Maybe you have an idea, but can't guarantee 200% how that person works or what other skills they have. And you have to figure out and react to that. If they are better in this way, then you have to like adapt to that. Or that's what we want to do. We want to adapt and, you know, also like we did with each other, we adapted to each other and said, okay, what's the skill that we can use and fuse? So that that's that's the idea. If it turns out, okay, the hire does these things better, then we want to enhance that and make that possible.
Yeah, that only really works in like a collaborative setting where everyone's kind of on the same level. I think the classic agencies with their hierarchy, you're hired to do something, and if you can't do it, then you're kind of replaced. So, yeah, I think it is an interesting approach. It's definitely an approach we have used too. We always ask our employees, like, do you enjoy doing this kind of work? Like, do you want to have more of that? Like, can we give you something else that you would find more
Mm,
stimulating? Like, those are questions we always ask as well, because we feel like, if they're not enjoying what they're doing, then they probably won't do it well
do
either.
it well.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Totally.
don't enjoy coming in or doing the work itself. Like we also try to be very collaborative, and even though of course, we are the owners and they are the employees. I feel like the hierarchy in that sense of like trying to distribute the workload in a way where it's not like overwhelming for this other person. That's extremely important for us too, and for them to have a voice. So I feel like I see a lot of similarities in the
Mm,
approaches. It's
yeah.
really nice. All right. I kind of like mixed in the final question, and it was that what advice would you give someone or a group of people who want to start a collective?
I guess select the people you work with wisely. That's for me the main thing. I couldn't do it with anyone. It's just yeah. Yeah, you really need to align on many things and trust each other. Yeah, we said that before, I think. But it really helps. I've been in teams where, yeah, I felt like I constantly like wanted to check if things were done well. And I feel like a team now where you kind of let things go. And when it comes back, it's better. And I think all of us, like, I mean, each of us have different skills, but we feel like we can trust each other that we don't like want to check again.
Yeah. I mean, it's also something that we learn, right? It's like in relationship work, you have to constantly challenge yourself, confront yourself with your own shit. Yeah, like ego and yeah, or checking. Like I also sometimes feel like, oh, I have to check. I have to check. And involve myself in something that maybe I'm not necessary to. It's not necessary to involve myself. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, like Nadia said, we need to really be comfortable with the person, with the people we want to work with, and it's hard to say because we grew organically, like we've discussed. So we already had this network thing where these little, like I said, little networks, and that's very valuable to have 4 people or 3 people that already have something in place that we can combine. To start it from zero, I think is definitely far more challenging because, yeah, but also maybe, I don't know, I have no experience in that, how that works, how to get to leads if you just start from zero to a brand and building that brand.
I think it's possible, but maybe it just takes.
It must be.
It's just
Yeah.
a different path. And something else I would
Yeah.
say is like talk about everything. Talk about money. Talk about expectations. Talk about when you're unhappy. Talk about when something goes like well. Yeah, appreciate each other and articulate it. We should do that more maybe. But yeah, really talk the shit out of it, because it doesn't help, and so many things that are unsaid that like nag in you, like it really doesn't help and doesn't lead to, like, it's basically relationship work actually. Yeah.
We say that all the
100%.
time too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it really is like,
It is. It's work wife.
yeah, that genuinely, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
Okay,
is.
thank you so much for speaking to us on this topic. It's been really interesting to get to know you and your business and getting to know what it's like to have a collective as a studio. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys
thank
as
you.
well. It was really fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Never Went to Business School. Don't forget to follow us here on Spotify. And if you enjoy our content, check out our YouTube channel for more educational videos and subscribe to our newsletter on Substack.